Back in my day, this is how you checked the prices of your comic books, or maybe an Overstreet's price guide. But if you wanted to get an update every month, you went out and bought Wizard magazine. And most of the current and even Silver Age and Bronze Age comic books were priced in here. If it was a popular book that was trending and trading for good money, you could find it in Wizard. Now, what I wanted to know was, how do the prices compare between 1991 and today? So that's what we're going to do on the channel. I've got a list of 20 comic books, and I looked up all the prices in Wizard, issue number 3, as a matter of fact. I have issues number 1, 2, and 3, and since this is technically the most current issue, I said, why not? Why not use issue number 3? And yeah, let's see how they compare to 1991 prices versus today. Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Guy Wozniak, and you are watching the Comic Book Guy channel. And today, I wanted to do a little price comparing. How has comic book prices on key issues in particular changed over the last 35 years? So what I did was come up with a list of 20 comics, a handful of Bronze Age keys, some more modern by 1991 standards anyway, you know, your New Mutants 98s and whatnot, and some Silver Age keys, some big dollar books. I compared the prices from back then, from Wizard magazine, and today, and how I did the comparison was Wizard magazine gives you just, one price, right? So look up Hulk 181 and it'll give you a price. That's for a near mint condition of Hulk 181, raw, ungraded, because there was no CGC back in these days. It was all raw and ungraded. So you had the near mint price here. So what I did was go to gpanalysis.com. It's a website that aggregates sales data of comic books, graded comic books specifically, and I compared those prices in the magazine to GPA's 9.4 graded books, which is the equivalent of a near mint book if you look at a grading scale, guide or definitions or whatever. So I think that's pretty fair. And like I said, some Silver Age books, some Bronze Age books, and of course some moderns, all key books, stuff that is, obviously going to fluctuate in price quite a bit. With all that said, let's go ahead and jump into book number 1. Now, my first book on this list is one of 3 books that I consider the Bronze Age trifecta, and they're all books that I wish I owned, and I don't own any of them because they're crazy expensive. But they're important, significant books. And in number 1 here, Hulk number 181, first appearance of Wolverine. Now, back in these days, back in November of 1991, according, to Wizard magazine, you could pick up a Hulk 181 for $265. What do you think a near mint CGC graded 9.4 copy of Hulk 181 would go for today? I'm going to let you leave it in the comments below. And just give you a couple of seconds, do a little do Jeopardy music, put your answers down in the comments, and all right, lock it in. Today, you could get a 9.4 graded CGC Hulk for $9,577. $265 back then, $95.77 today. That price is based on the 90-day sales average. Over the course of selling 4 books, they averaged that price. And that's 3,513% appreciation, or, increase in value. Now, forgive me if I didn't get all of these percentages right. I did use a calculator, but I'm kind of a dummy, so there's a good chance I messed up the mathematics, or the arithmetic, as they used to say, on these percentages, but I did my best to get them correct. But I am pretty confident that the 91 price and the current prices are all accurate. So if you want to check my math on the percentages, by all means, feel free. Hulk 181 is a significantly important book, and, obviously first appearance of Wolverine, but it's hard to believe that it went up from $265 all the way to $9,577 in 35 years. It's astronomical, and I wish I would have bought one back then. Let's jump on to Bronze Age trifecta book number 2. Of the Bronze Age trifecta, this is the one I wish I had the most. Amazing Spider-Man number 129. And in the old Wizard magazine, you could have gotten that book, first appearance of Punisher, if you didn't know what ASM 129 was. We're talking $275. So actually $10 more than Hulk 181 back then, if you can believe that. But I assure you that the Hulk 181 is worth a lot more nowadays. So it went from $275 back in 91, based on, Wizard Guide prices, to $3,565. That number is based on the 90-day sale average of 12 individual sales. That's an increase of 1,200%. Pretty good money, not going to lie. I would be happy with that. I feel like Hulk 181 and ASM 129, I feel like they were even cheaper back then. I mean, in 1991, I was 12. I was 12 years old. And I feel like I've seen those books for sale back in those days for less than these $250 to $300 prices, probably just lower condition. And Wizard Price Guide didn't give you fine or very fine or ornament like Overstreet Price Guide that does and did and does. So yeah, I'm for sure have seen these books for cheaper. In fact, the next book on the list, I did actually buy as a 12-year-old kid, and I didn't pay too much money for it. So what is book number 3 in the Bronze Age trifecta? Well, of course, Giant Size X-Men #1. To me, those are like the 3 most significant key books of the Bronze Age. Maybe not your most significant 3. They're not the most significant 3, but they're my most significant 3. And yeah, I had a Giant Size X-Men #1. I was 12, like I said. The little comic book store down the street from my house had a big old long box full of X-Men's, and I was like, oh my goodness, I know what this book is. Why did I know? Because I collected the Marvel superhero trading cards back in those days. And in 1991, the Marvel superhero cards had like the most valuable comics cards, and there was like a dozen different cards in that set that showed off like comics that were, really hot at the time, including Giant Size X-Men #1. And I had that card, and I was like, oh, this must be an important comic. So when I saw it in the long box, I was like, wow, that's that comic from my card. This comic's a big deal. Asked the owner of the store, Don was his name, Don Dawkins. He was a great guy. I really liked him. Looked up to him quite a bit. Don, please hold this comic for me. Don't sell it. $50. I'll get the money. My mom, I believe, she's like, I'll pay for half. You have to work for the other half. So it was mowing lawns and doing chores and scrounging lunch money and skipping lunch at school and stuff. Saved up my end of the 25. She gave me the other end of the 25. And a couple weeks later, I went to Comics in the Attic, and that was the name of the store, and bought it. I bought it for $50 though. Not $155, but it certainly wasn't a near mint copy. Anyway, I digress. I wanted to share that story of my childhood with you. Today, you can get a copy of this book in 9.4 CGC grade for $5,366. That is based on a 90-day average of 6 sales. And yeah, that's plus 3,362%. So that's pretty good money to make over that time frame, I'd say. Yeah, I wish I still had my copy of Giant Size X-Men #1, but some jerk-faced jerkbag who I thought was my friend stole it from me, and never got it back. And yeah, that sucks. I haven't had a copy since. But maybe someday, who knows? Let's jump on to book number 4. Now, book number 4 should probably be in the Bronze Age trifecta, but of course, trifecta is like 3. It is not 4, so maybe it would be a quadfecta, quadilla. I don't really know what the word would be. But I was watching a comic YouTuber I like a lot, Immortal Biggie Shack. I was watching his channel. What up, if you're watching? And we were talking about, in chat and whatnot, the Bronze Age trifecta, as I called it. And he said, yeah, but what about House of Secrets number 92? And he's right. That book is super, super important as well. And I should not have discounted it because, number one, I'm a huge, huge Swamp Thing fan. At least I'm a huge Alan Moore Swamp Thing fan. I just recently completed the entire run. So the first appearance of Swamp Thing should be a book that I gave more credence to, and I did overlook it a little bit. That said, let's go to the House of Secrets section of Wizard Magazine here and find the price of House of Secrets number 92. I think you're going to be surprised at what it was back here in 1991 and how much it goes for today. I was shocked. Back then, 92, first Swamp Thing, $100. Not a cheap book by any means for 1991. But, attainable, right? A near mint copy anyway. You get a VF or a fine copy for maybe half that. Fine copy, maybe $50. So yeah, $100. I wish I would have bought that back in those days. What is it worth today? Well, how would you feel about $14,420? That's an increase of 14,000 plus 14,320, as a matter of fact. Percentage points, if you will. That's a big mover. And yeah, definitely it should be a part of those bronzed aged key books. And maybe it should be revered even more than Hulk 181 or Amazing Spider-Man 129 or Giant Size X-Men #1, because it certainly has moved in price a lot more than those books, to say the least. And my last book from the Bronze Age is going to be Marvel Spotlight #5, which is, of course, the first appearance of our main man. No, Lobo's the main man. My main man, Ghost Rider. I love me some Ghost Rider. First appearance, Ghost Rider. I remember going into that little comic store where I got my Giant Size X-Men, and he had one of those up on his wall book section. And it was not cheap back in those days, as I recall. We are looking at #5, $90. Actually, that's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Marvel Spotlight #5 for $90 in near mint condition. Yes, please. I'll take one. How about today? Well, today you are going to be disappointed to know that this book goes for $11,233 in CGC grade 9.4 condition. That number is based off of a number of sales equal to 6 over the last year. Actually, I mixed up the last one. House of Secrets, that price was based on just one sale in 2025. The Marvel Spotlight is based off of 6 sales this year. So again, another book that doesn't, at least in this grade, that doesn't move a lot. But yeah, $90 to $11,233. That's an increase of 12,381 percentage points. That's a mover for sure. I'll probably never own one, at least certainly not in that condition. Probably never in any condition, honestly. But yeah, that's a key that I wish I could go back in time and pick up for $90, to say the least. Okay, let's jump into some modern books, and modern by 1991 standards of this Wizard price guide. Amazing Spider-Man #300 was a relatively modern book. The latest issue that they have listed here is like 352, 353. So, you know, that was only 50 issues prior to publishing Amazing Spider-Man 300 and this price guide. So yeah, relatively modern is my point. What did an Amazing Spider-Man #300 go for in 1991? Well, as we know, that's the milestone anniversary 300 issue, beautiful cover, black costume Spider-Man, first appearance of Venom, of course, and Todd McFarlane artwork. Well, if you wanted a copy back then, you could get one for a mere $35. I got a copy in my collection this past year in 2025, and I paid a heck of a lot more than $35, and it was not in near mint condition, I don't think. Well, close. It's a nice condition copy. It's probably like a 9, not a 9.4. It's raw, of course. I don't do graded books too often. Now, $35 back then. Today, 90-day average over 52 sales, $584. So, I mean, that's a big jump. It's 1,569%, but it's not like the Bronze Age books. This book is a holy grail. It's a key. It's a book that people do go for. But I think it's because it's attainable and affordable, not because of, you know, the overwhelming value of it. Also because it's, you know, Todd, the Todd father artwork. Everyone loves Todd. Yeah, I know why people go after it, but crazy that it's not increased in value nearly as much as those Bronze Age books. I guess it's also to do with like villain first appearance versus hero first appearance, you know, first appearance of Wolverine, first appearance of Punisher, first appearance of a bunch of characters in Giant Size X-Men, first appearance of Swamp Thing. Hero first appearances do tend to appreciate and value and hold value better than first appearances of villains for the most part. I mean, it all makes sense. It's a newer book. I get it. But yeah, $584. I mean, 1,500% still a lot, but that one surprised me. I would have thought that it would have been more valuable in this condition or cheaper back then, you know, like a $5 or $6 book back then. A bigger percentage jump is what I would have expected. But still, hey, if we could pick these up for $35, we would be buying them all day long. So it is what it is. So my next book on the modern list is Incredible Hulk number 340, another Todd McFarlane book. Great cover. Some people say, and by some people, I mean there's been like lists of top greatest covers of all time. A lot of people have voted that book as the best cover of all time. I personally don't agree with that sentiment. I think it's a great cover, but not the best cover. Be that as it may, you could have gotten a copy of Hulk 341 back in these days for $27. Not too shabby. Now, it's not a first appearance. It's not a key issue in really any like objective way. Like what makes a book a key issue? It's just a great cover. Is just a great cover enough to make it a key issue? I think yes, but some people would argue that point. Nevertheless, Hulk 340, $27 back in 1991 rather. $329 today. That data is based on a 90-day average of 32 sales. We're talking about an 1,119% increase in value. So another book that very affordable today, highly collected today, wildly sought after still, but probably because it's affordable, probably because it's attainable, and because it's an amazing cover. You know, people love that cover. People love Todd McFarlane. And this is one of his all-time best covers. So yeah, I get it. But, I'd still rather have bought it for $27 than $329. This one is kind of crazy. Uncanny X-Men number 266. We're talking the first appearance of Gambit here. How much do you think that was worth in Wizard Magazine from 1991, November 91? Go ahead. Guess. You think it was a cheap book? You think it was $10? You think it was a $20 or $30 book like some of the other ones? Well, no, you'd be wrong. It was $4.25. So Gambit did not get a lot of love back in these days. His first appearance was not considered super sought after, just, based on these numbers. By comparison, I don't know, there's some books in here that are more expensive. The first Alpha Flight books, $28 and $35. I mean, those came out 100 and some odd issues prior to Gambit, but yeah, there's some first appearances of other characters in here that are worth a heck of a lot more than $4.25. I was surprised to see that. Today, you can get Uncanny X-Men number 266 for $169. That's based on a 90-day average of 33 sales, and that's a pretty significant increase in all actuality. It's 3,830%. So, while it was not in its initial release a highly collected or highly sought-after book, it has appreciated quite a bit today, and it's still a very approachable, affordable, and acquirable key issue. So maybe jump on that before it goes up even more. I don't know. I need to add a copy of it to my collection. I don't have it yet, and that feels like a mistake. What about the Wolverine miniseries from 1982, I believe? Well, first and foremost, we're doing a giveaway. And that miniseries is the subject of the giveaway. We hit 7,000 subscribers the other day. We are approaching our goal of 10,000 subscribers before we give these books away. So listen up real quick to this quick message. One of you will win this collection of Wolverine comics when the channel hits 10,000 subscribers. This is the 1982's Wolverine miniseries, issues 1 through 4 from the legendary team of Frank Miller and Chris Claremont. So let's keep it real simple. If you want to win these books, do two things. First, be sure to subscribe to the channel because only subscribers are eligible for this giveaway. Second, when we hit 10,000 subscribers, I will post the giveaway announcement video. You have to see this video to find out who will win, so make sure that you have notifications turned on because you don't want to miss that. Now let's get back to the discussion. So yeah, Wolverine miniseries number 1. It's a book that I own. It's a book that I'm giving away to you guys, and it's a book that back in 1991 you get for $14 if you can believe that, in a near mint condition. $14 in 1991 money. I should have done the adjusted for inflation prices. Like, what is $14 in today's money? I'm gonna guess like 30. I'm gonna guess like $30, but I didn't do the inflation adjustments. I should have done that. Maybe one of you guys would be a real a real champ and go through my list here and do the inflation adjustments and put it in the comments below. If one of you do it, I'll pin that comment to the top so that it's always available for everyone. That would be cool. But anyway, Wolverine #1 back in those days, $14, like I said. Well, today, in a CGC graded 9.4 condition, $188. That's based on a 90-day average, 34 sales. So legitimately, that's the price. It's what it's been going for. That's an increase of 1,243%. Yeah, that's a good book that I can't believe was that cheap back then. It was kind of an old book. I mean, came out in 92. This is November 91. That was a 10-year-old book, and not a book that was commanding even prices like Amazing Spider-Man 300 or Amazing Spider-Man, Incredible Hulk number 340. Those books were commanding higher prices in those days than Wolverine miniseries #1. It's interesting that is the case. I wouldn't have expected that just because this is an older book by a decade almost, or 7, 8, 9 years anyway. It just goes to show you that trends and what people are after, what people like, it's very transient. It changes all the time. So yeah, interesting to see that dichotomy between these books. How about Omega Men #3? First appearance of Lobo. I love me some Lobo, and in fact, my first comic that I ever bought was issue #1 of the Lobo miniseries. Well, back in 91, Omega Men #3, First Lobo, was a $12 comic book. I'm guessing that book's going to jump up in price because Jason Momoa's depiction of Lobo is coming very soon to the Supergirl. That's what it is, the Supergirl movie. Well, right now, $12 back then. Right now, $114 for a 9.4 graded copy. That's based on a 90-day average of 31 sales. It's up 850% in that time frame. Not a big dollar book, but will it get bigger? I think it will. I think that the Supergirl movie in and of itself isn't going to drive it up much, but I think people are really going to enjoy Lobo in that movie, even if it's a small part, and I think we're going to see him in more movies moving forward. I think that's going to keep pushing that book up a little bit, maybe a lot of it. We'll see. But yeah, right now, $114 versus $12. That's a pretty big jump. I mean, more than 1,000%. So you could do worse, that's for sure. All right, here's some crazy ones, and I'm going to do them both at the same time. New Mutants, number 98, of course, first Deadpool, and 87, of course, first Cable. These books are not what I was expecting. Back in these days, the first appearance of Cable was wildly more valuable than the first appearance of Deadpool. New Mutants 87 was $41 back then. New Mutants 98 was $6.50. Can you believe that? I remember being there at the time. New Mutants was coming to an end. Eventually, issue 100 came out. Then it became X-Force, and the team that was left on New Mutants started their new book, X-Force. New Mutants 87 was by far the book to have in the New Mutants run. I remember nobody cared about 98 back then, in my sphere of influence of my friends and then the comic shops and everything. Yeah, everyone was all about Cable back then. So I was surprised to see this big of a difference, $40, $41 versus $6.50. But in another vein, I wasn't surprised, just based on thinking back to how popular Cable in that book was and how popular X-Force was. Now, in today's money, things are a little bit different. New Mutants 87 is $122 and a graded 9.4, according to GP Analysis' 90-day average of 17 sales. On the other hand, New Mutants 98 is $357, 90-day average over 35 sales. So what does that mean in percentage? Well, New Mutants 87, first appearance of Cable, has gone up. Of course, it's gone up. These have all gone up. But only 198%. The first appearance of Deadpool has gone up 5,392%. So to say that Deadpool is more popular, that the comic, his first appearance, is more sought after today would be an understatement, to say the least. But yeah, really interesting to see the difference between these two books. I'm glad I chose to look them both up. Now, here's a big one. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1, Mirage Comics #1. This is a big book today. A book that I probably will, if I'm lucky, maybe get in like second or third printing, but I will never own this first printing. Back in 91, it was a big book back then. $340 for the first issue. They don't even price second print, third print, fourth print, etc. in this price guide. Just issue 1. I don't know when they reprinted them. Maybe they weren't out yet, or maybe they just chose not to put them in here because they were virtually cover price worthless still. I don't know. But yeah, $340 back then, that was a lot of money. I mean, well, until we get to Silver Age comics, that was the most expensive book on this list so far. And all the rest of the ones are Silver Age books that beat this. But this is not a Silver Age book. This is technically modern. Is it bronze? It's on that cusp, maybe. Yeah, it's a newer book, though. But $340 back then. What do you think today a 9.4 of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1 first printing goes for? I hate to be the bearer of bad news if you didn't know this, but it's $19,200. That is based on only one sale last year in November of 2025. So who knows? You know, maybe it would go for more if there had been more sales of this book. It's a rare book, don't get me wrong. I want to say, if I remember correctly, 4,000? Was that the number of how many first prints existed or were produced of this book? Not a ton. Could have been less even, but for some reason the number 4,000 is in my mind. Yeah, that's crazy. A 5,547% price jump in those 35 years. But even back then, $340 for a relatively modern book is, crazy. More than Hulk 181, more than Amazing Spider-Man 129, more than Giant Size X-Men #1, House of Secrets, more than all of the modern books, including Spider-Man 300. Yeah, TMNT has been the thing for a long time, and it's not slowing up. I mean, in fact, in today's prices of $19,200, it's also the most valuable book today on this list so far. Now, of course, again, these Silver Age books that are about to come smash that price, but compared to House of Secrets 92 and Marvel Spotlight and everything else, this TMNT book is really the key book of Bronze Age and forward. It seems like, I don't know. Let me know in the comments below. Is there a bigger book than TMNT that's newer than Silver Age? That's Bronze Age or newer? I can't think of one. There might be. I don't know. Maybe. But yeah, this is crazy. I want one. I really, really want one. And that brings us to the Silver Age. Silver Age comics. I don't collect Silver Age comics. Not out of choice, but out of necessity for my bank account, for my wallet, for what I can afford. I don't own any Silver Age comics right now. I've only been back into collecting since like July of 2025. So, not even 6 months really. Will I get into Silver Age books at some point? There's a good chance. I mean, I'd love to have a full run of Amazing Spider-Man. That's my end game goal. Will it ever happen? No, of course not. But hey, you gotta dream big, right? Anyway, my first Silver Age book on this list is Amazing Fantasy #15. And in 1991, Amazing Fantasy #15 was $5,500. A lot of money, whole bunch of money for 1991. In today's money, adjusted for inflation, hopefully somebody's going to do those calculations and put them in the comments down below. I'm going to guess that's well over 10 grand in today's money. But if you wanted to buy this book in a near mint CGC graded 9.4 copy, well, the last sale of this book in this grade hasn't happened since 2020. So we can be assured that if this book came up for sale, it would be a lot more than this. But it was $795,000 in 2020. That's an increase of 14,355%. And again, I don't think that's the real value. 2020, there was a big boom around 2020, 2021. Maybe that is the real price. I don't know. It's hard to say. My gut tells me that if this book came up for sale again today, it would go for more than $795K though. Let me know in the comments below. What do you think it's really worth? Because yeah, not a lot of sales data for these books coming forward. These are going to be like they sold once in the last few years. Yeah, it's crazy. How much it went up though? 14,000%. Lord, lots of money. let's go to the next one before I get sick. The next one is going to be Amazing Spider-Man #1. We happen to be on the same page here. I mean, ASM #1, $4,750. So not really much less than Amazing Fantasy 15 back in these days. Both books were right around $5K. You know, they were within $750 of each other. So yeah, that's interesting. That is not the case anymore. The last sale of Amazing Spider-Man #1 was in 2023. Hasn't sold since, according to GP Analysis website, and it went for $264,000. That's a 5,458% increase. Again, I think if it sold today, it might sell for more than $264,000, but I don't think it would approach that $790,000 that Amazing Fantasy 15 went for. So, yeah, a lot of money still, though. I think the big difference is that there are higher graded copies, right? If the highest grade of these books that existed was 9.4, you would assume they would command much higher prices. But I think there's 9.6s. Is there a 9.8? I haven't looked at the census, but I think there's higher graded copies than these for these in 9.4. So I think that has a lot to do with it. But interesting that they were so close in price back in 1991. And now there's a $500,000 bill dividing these two comics, Amazing Fantasy 15 and ASM #1. That's crazy. All right, let's jump into the number 16 book on this list. Avengers #1. I'm not an Avengers guy, by the way, but Matt, my co-host, who's not with me today, but you know he's usually here. He is an Avengers guy. He owns a copy of Avengers #1. Not a near mint copy, unfortunately. The price you'll see when you hear the price, you'll see why it's not a near mint copy. But he has a very nice copy. And he could have bought a near mint copy back in 1991 for $1,500. Not bad. I mean, you know, Avengers #1, $1,500. If you could buy that near mint today for $1,500, you'd do it all day long, wouldn't you? Admit it, you would, even if you're not a fan. I'm trying to tell myself to admit it, and I would, even though I'm not a fan. But if you want one today, well, what is the real price? It's hard to say. The last sale of Avengers #1 that I had noted was in 2017 in 9.4 grade. There were other, 9.2s and et cetera sales, but, try to keep things apples to apples. It went for $89,625 in 2017. I'm certain it would go for a lot more than that today. Just, no one has sold one. No sale has been recorded on GP Analysis, so I can't validate on whether or not it would, in fact, be more, but my gut says, yeah, it would be more than $89,000 today if that sale in 2017 was that price, because things tend to just go up in price. And we're talking about 9 years. In 9 years, it would have went up. I'm sure of that. But that's the best data I got right now. That is a 5,875% jump, though, from $1,500. So, not bad money, even if we were talking 2017 sales data. How about Daredevil #1? I love Daredevil. Matt, actually, we just found out recently, is not as big of a fan of Daredevil. We did a top 20 Marvel's superheroes ranking list, and I was shocked to find out Matt did not agree with my ranking of Daredevil. He was a little bit more down on the character than me. But if he could buy a Daredevil #1 for $750, I bet he would. I think he'd become a fan real quick, and he would snatch that book up. $750 in 1991 versus in CGC 9.4 grade, $43,200. That's a 5,600% jump in price. Wow, that one shocked me. I didn't think Daredevil would be a $43,000 book. I would have guessed, I don't know, 10, 20, 25. 25 would have been probably my ceiling if I was going to be guessing. So I was surprised. A near mint CGC 9.4 graded copy. That's based on one sale from last year, January of 2025. So, these books aren't moving a lot or real fast. So we don't have super reliable sales data to compare, but, it's the best we can do. And that was the last sale. $43,000 for Daredevil #1. Let's everybody break out the DeLorean, get in that time machine, and go back and get ourselves some copies for $750, please. Yeah, that would be a good investment, but not as good as the next one. What is the next one? Well, that's going to be, you guessed it, I know you know, Fantastic Four, #1. That book is the biggest mover and shaker on this list, I think. No, actually, it's not in terms of percentage. In terms of overall dollar value, yes, but not in terms of percentage. Fantastic Four #1 back in those days, $5,200. That was a lot of money in 1991. I mean, that's Amazing Fantasy 15 money. That was 55, but $300. Let's not split hairs. But the last sale of Fantastic Four #1 in CGC grade 9.4. It was in April of 2022. Oh, I wrote this note down so I didn't forget. It wasn't a 9.4. There's been no sales of a 9.4. It was a 9.2. A 9.2 sold in April of 2022 for $1.5 million. $5,200 to $1.5 million in 9.2 CGC grade. It's a 28,746% jump in price. That's wild. I'm not a big Fantastic Four fan, honestly. I've read a little bit. Don't hate it. Don't love it. I would never, even if I was Powerball money, won the hundreds of millions of dollars of Powerball, would I spend $1.5 million on a Fantastic Four? No, there's a lot of stuff that I would buy first. Maybe if I got all the other books that I wanted first, and it was like, well, I'm out of books to buy, I guess I would. But I'm guessing that would be not on my to-do list, even with Powerball money. That's crazy. 1.5 mil. Next up, we have Incredible Hulk #1. And this is not the most in dollars mover, but in percentages, it is the biggest mover. You could get a Hulk #1 back in these days for $1,600. And today, well, yeah, it was June of 2025 was the last sale. It was also a 9.2. There was no sales of a 9.4 for me to compare this to. So you're getting, a near mint minus, I guess, instead of a near mint, but still a 9.2, $780,000. So yeah, that's a lot less than the $1.5 million sale on Fantastic Four, but percentage-wise, 48,000, if my math is right, 48,650% from 1,600 to 780K. That is a book I would have on my Powerball list if I won big money. I love me some Hulk. He's a little bit of a boring one-dimensional character at times. Just, hundreds of issues in the 200s and 300s where it was like, is he going to do anything other than fight the military? But still a great character, great comics. And yeah, I would for sure buy a Hulk #1 if I had the money to do it. Now, let's jump on to #20, the last book on this list. What do you think it's going to be? Leave it in the comments below. All right, #20. I got to go all the way to the end of this list to find X-Men. Of course, we hadn't done X-Men #1. And a big mover as well, but not quite like Fantastic Four or Hulk. X-Men #1 back in these days, back in 1991, $1,800. A lot of money. So $1,800 back in 1991. Today, and not really today, because the last sale was in 2020 of a 9.4 copy of this book. It went for $215,000 or an 11,844% increase. So big increase, not like Hulk #1, but still. Yeah, 2020, $215K. Again, is this today's price? Is this what it's really worth today? Probably not. Probably worth more if I had to guess. Again, I don't know the census. It's when a new, let's say 9.4 was the highest graded copy of this book back in 2020. It sold for $214. And then somebody got a copy graded 9.6 or 9.8 or 9.9, God forbid. I'm sure not a 9.9, but nevertheless, that might affect the value of the 9.4 and it might go down. A lot of stuff could have happened in the last 5 years to influence that price. Hard to say. And again, I didn't think to check the census until I was doing this video and talking to you guys right now. But yeah, that's the data I got. $215K in 2020. Big money. big money for sure. And this would be on my Powerball list. If I won the Powerball, I would want a copy of X-Men #1 for sure. There's my 2020 comic book value comparisons using Wizard Magazine, volume #3. I also, as I showed you guys, have volume #1, but I have volume #2 as well. I bought these just, to thumb through them, be nostalgic from time to time. I, again, bought these originally, not these copies. These I've bought, since, but I remember buying these in 1991 at the comic book store off the, newsstand. I use that term, but not really a newsstand. But yeah, going to the comic book store, hey, get the new copy of Wizard, issue #1, issue #2, and of course, issue #3 in my collection. And I thought it'd be fun to just break them open, do some comparisons. What are books worth today versus 1991 when Wizard was, one of the go-to price guides. Again, the once annual Overstreet price guide gave more information on more books and more grades. But if you just wanted something quick to see what was going on in the market, this is what you did. You bought a copy of Wizard Magazine and hoped it was accurate. I mean, it's all kind of probably subjective. Who knows how they came up with these numbers? But yeah. All right, guys. Well, I guess that'll wrap this one up for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. And yeah, let me know down in the comments what you thought. Let me know down in the comments if you can think of any other books that we should compare. Maybe we could do a part 2 of this where we compare, another list of 20 books, key books, ideally, books that, probably fluctuated by big amounts. But I just picked these ones because they are some of the biggest. I know there's going to be some complaints. You didn't do hardly any DC books, just one, House of Secrets. Yeah, and I did one Independent and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Oh, no, I did Omega Men. That's 2 DC books. But yeah, 17 Marvel. I'm just a Marvel guy, and that's probably a fair ratio. Like Marvel versus DC, I'm probably like 10-1 in terms of like how many Marvel books I've bought, owned, and read versus how many DC books I've bought, owned, and read. So this is pretty reflective of my interests. And, it's my channel, so I might as well do what interests me. Hopefully it interests a lot of you guys as well. Now, with all that said, I'm going to wrap this one up. I'm going to say thanks for tuning in. As always, I appreciate it. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button if you're new here. Hit the like button and leave a comment to let the YouTube algorithm know that you're enjoying what I'm doing here so that they will proliferate these videos throughout the internet. More people will watch them. The channel will grow and we will make more content because the channel growing is, why I do this. And if it doesn't grow, then I got to find something else to do. So hopefully you guys can support me by doing those few things. Now, yeah, with all that said, let me end this like I always do by saying, keep collecting comics, supporting your local comic book store, and comic book industry in general. Keep watching our videos. That is key. And until the next one, bye now.